It's reset day, which means the big day for the big raid to open up. That's right, Mythic Mana Forge Omega.
I can't break this wall. My
God.
only option is to let Arthas clap my cheeks.
Yeah, one of the great moments from this stream, taken completely out of context, I might add you. But anyways, I digress. We'll get back to the news here. The Omega raid is opening up today, which means you're getting all difficulties opening up. Heroic, Normal, Mythic, and LFR Wing 1. So all of that starting today. Also, you get the kickoff of Season 3, right? Season 3 of Mythic Plus. All that. So it's the gearing of the season, right? It's the season of gearing, I should say. Everyone's getting in. Everyone's doing these things. If you're watching this stuff might have already opened by now, and the race to World First may have already began. That's right. But if you're in China, the race to World First might mean a little bit more for you today. That's right. China, and specifically NetEase, is offering Chinese guilds money to try to finish in the top 3 for the race to World First this year. And they are offering up to 1 million yen, which conversions equated for is about 1 million yen is about, what is it, 100,000, 200,000? 500 yen is a conversion rate of, here we got 70K. So you got to figure the person who wins will get the bonus as well. So about a world first prize of 1,400 yen. That'll give you about $200,000. $200,000, you could say that's the estimate there. So $200,000 for the people who win. Plus, if you finish in the top 3, you will get 500,000 yen, which is about $70,000. So Blizzard and specifically NetEase is trying to get these Chinese guilds to try to get into the top 3. Now, will they do it? Probably not. Now, they said that they would offer even more every single season that this is not accomplished until a Chinese guild finally does it. So that'll be interesting. It's like $200. Yeah, right. So interesting thing there. I like that NetEase is kind of, getting into the season of things, right? Trying to push these guilds to do better and to compete with the European and American guilds out there who typically finish in the top 3. Moving on to the different things going on in the game, including reputation exploits. That's right. The ban hammer came down on people who exploited the Sparks of War Koresh questline. Evidently, some people were able to continue turning this thing in over and over and get themselves to an additional reputation. And like I said before, when the patch went live, I told people, damn it, don't do this shit. Because if your reputation, for some reason, is like 2 weeks ahead of everybody else, it's such an easy find for Blizzard. They're going to find you. You're literally sticking out like a sore thumb. It's going to be... they don't even have to search. You're there. You're the one person or 10 people or 100 people with reputation far beyond everyone else. Anyways, those people received a 10-day ban for anyone who exploited this. Now, one thing I will say is Blizzard's got to do better. I mean, you got broken shit in your game, and then you're getting mad at people for playing around with the broken shit. I mean, come on. It's like leaving broken glass on the floor and then yelling at my children for cutting themselves 2 hours later. Like, you got to patch this shit up. You got to clean it up so people don't play with this shit. People don't mess around. Some people might have done it unknowingly. Some people might think, oh, this might have been a repeatable quest. Now, yeah, I mean, ignorance is bliss. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they did know. But anyways, a 10-day ban, I guess, is not that bad. The thing that sucks for them is the raid is opening up this week. So they're going to miss the opening week of raid. They're going to miss the opening week of season 3 Mythic Plus dungeons and all that. So kind of sucks for them. What is too high of rep? I think they were at 9 or 10. Yeah. Renown 9 or 10 naturally, and only people who exploited appear to have been punished. So, I don't know. I think Renown 9 or 10 is fine, and then anything beyond that was ridiculous at that point. So, facts. There you go. I'm at 9. Yep. So I think 9 or 10 is 9 to 10 is the one that was catching people off guard. So it looks like 9 is the cap. Most people are at 9. Anyone who went beyond that was probably exploiting something at that point. So, yeah, the ban hammer came down, and those people got punished with 10-day bans. If you didn't get the ban, you didn't do it, so don't worry about it. You're fine. The bans already went through. Check the Reddit forums for that one. Last minute, Mythic Season 3 dungeon nerfs. That's right. So we got dungeon nerfs, and we got class buffs and nerfs as well coming through at the last second here as servers reset. Looking around, basically Blizzard going across the board and kind of nerfing some of these dungeons. We see a bunch of healing absorbs reduced here for Dawnbreaker. We see this damage reduction increase to 30%, was 50% for Avanox, so he won't absorb as much damage. We got Eco Dome Eldani adjusted a spawn location for Frenzied Mites. We also have Halls of Atonement Pulse from Beyond's damage now occurs once every 1.5 seconds, was 1 second, so that's less damage there. Ritual of Woe's group damage now hits the statue reduced by 38%. So a bunch of little nerfs here. So far, to me, the dungeons have been pretty easy. Nothing too difficult out there. Now, we're doing Mythic plus zeros. We'll see how the plus 3 season actually kicks off and what that feels like. But overall, it hasn't been too bad, and I feel like this rotation of dungeons is not going to be too bad at all. Now, looking at the classes, we had patch notes that hit last Friday, and then these patch notes that hit just yesterday. So these are more adjustments on top of the adjustments as we go through the first round of seasonal adjustments, I should say. So says the man who can't complete it. I have a story behind that, all right? I can't explain it right now. I'll explain it later. Havoc Demon Hunter. All ability damage increased by 5%, so that's a buff across the board for you guys. Very nice. Frost DK, Obliterate damage, which is their mainstay of damage, decreased by 5%. That's going to hurt. Riders of the Apocalypse, Maulsworn Menace now increased the damage of Obliterate by 5%, was 10%, so that's another nerf to Obliterate. Riders of Apocalypse, Hollow Sentinel Wake, 2-piece now increases Tollbrain's Obliterate by 15%, was 35%. Another, that's a 2-piece set hit to Obliterate. And then Deathbringer Exterminate, first sight damage increased by 10%. So a little bit of AoE damage increase for you guys there. For Druid, we got the Feral Boys out there running around as their little kitten selves. Ferocious Bite and Ravage. Primary target damage increased by 6%. Nice buff there. Shred damage increased by 5%. Sabertooth causes Ferocious Bite to increase damage taken from your bleeds and other periodic effects by 6%, was 5%, and then Windstalker Bloodseeker Vines damage increased by 5%. So nice buffs across the board for Feral there. Hunter, we see Beast Mastery, Tireless Collector bounties, and 2-piece chance to fire a free barbed shot reduced by 50%. So you're going to have a much less chance of that getting fired off there. Mage, we see Frost damage, all damage dealt, reduced by 3%. So we know Frost was up there on the boards. We also knew that Frost DK, Frost Mage, they were all doing really good. Some nerfs there coming for their classes. And then we got Mistweaver Monk here. Rush Wind Kick damage reduced by 50%. Wow, that's actually a lot. Okay. Shaman Enhancement. Storm Striker damage increased by 10%. Elemental Blast damage increased by 8%. And then the Tempest single target damage increased by 8%. So nice. We just saw a round of buffs for enhancement just over the weekend, and now we're getting another round. So Blizzard really focusing on getting enhancement up to par here lately. And then Demonology Warlock, Wild Imp damage reduced by 20%. Immutable Hatred damage reduced by 30%, so you can hate just a little bit less with your reductions there. 2 of them coming down on Demonology. Destruction is the final one here. Diabloist, Inquisitor's Feast of Madness, 2-piece bonus has been adjusted. Eye Blast damage reduced by 45%, so some nerfs there coming in for the Warlock boys. We'll see how all of this balances out in the end. We're going to get our first round of DPS charts and everything else after the end of this week, coming up on the next reset, so we'll look at those and see the first official standings for the Mana Forged Omega raid, so that'll be exciting. And then finally, estimated DPS losses when you're using the rotation assist and the one button rotation. So these are adjusted based on current statistics and everything else. So let's see which class is the best if you want to just sit back and use no hands and still press a single button, if you know what I mean, to do your rotation. Here, let's see what's going on here. For Blood DK, assisted highlight, a 35% loss, and single button assist, 40 to 50% loss. Wow. That's massive. It's almost like Blood DK takes a ton of skill. It's almost like Blood DK requires you to adjust on the fly, understand everything that's going on in every single fight, and be able to self-heal and self-soothe the entire group at the same time. Well, that's amazing. Crazy. I wonder who out there plays Blood DK as a main. They must be highly skilled. Okay, moving on. Frost DK, we see a 5% loss here for assisted and 16 to 19% depending on your hero stats, hero talents, I should say, for single button assist. We also see Unholy DK, 6 to 12% here and 15 to 24%. So it looks like DK, it's all right to use it, but it's not one of the better ones, that's for sure. Havoc Demon Hunter, 18% to 25% loss between assisted and single. Who else we got here? Vengeance, we got a 45% loss on single and a 35% loss on Fellscarred. Who's got the least here? If we're looking at all these, we're not going to go through every single one. You can check your screen. Look at that. Brewmaster Monk, only a 2% loss when using assisted highlights. So that's not bad at all. That's pretty accurate. Looks like their rotation's down pretty good. That's the least one in terms of assisted highlight. Let's see who's the least when it comes to single button rotation. Which class is the best right now for single button rotation, having the least amount of DPS loss? It looks like 8% here. Augmentation Evoker. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, Augmentation Evoker. I mean, what are you losing? You're losing nothing from nothing. They're barely doing anything right now. So an 8% loss there for single button rotation. I guess let's look at who would be the second least lost. 11% on Affliction Warlock, 11.5%. So they seem to be the least, the second least, at least in terms of using single button rotation. Everyone else seems to be bouncing between like 20% and 40% loss. People still complaining about single button rotation, stealing regular rotation away from the game. I can't DPS as much as single. If you can't DPS as much as single button rotation, you need to learn how to play your class a little bit more. That's what that's saying. And maybe you could use single button to learn how to play it. Thing about single button is it's got a global cooldown, so it's going to be a little bit slower. So if you can figure out what single button's telling you to do and you do it yourself, you're going to do a lot more DPS. That's the truth. Grouping with Sam is a 75% loss. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, this chat. Okay, that is all in terms of news.